Hey guys, it's Adrian. Welcome back to my channel. I've missed you guys. Since the first time that I started my channel, I actually took a couple of days off. I had to. I haven't been here since last Tuesday because I was so sick. I was supposed to film some videos on Saturday, but when I woke up in the morning, everything was spinning and it just went downhill from there. I'm still not feeling great. I'm probably going to film 1 or 2 videos, maybe more, because we all know that I'm an overachiever. But then I'm going to go back to bed because I'm already exhausted just from setting up my camera, never mind filming the videos. But I am here to bring you today my October wrap up. Despite the fact that I kind of was almost dead the last week of October, I still read 7 books, which is, for me, phenomenal. Now I will be honest and say 2 or 3 of those, I think 3 of those were audiobooks. But, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. It's been a busy month. I've been listening to audiobooks. At least I'm catching up on my reading. So there you go. Let's just jump right into it because, like I said, I got 7 books to show you. First up was a book that I started in September and I finished up the second half in October, and that was Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book to the Mortal Instruments series. I started off really loving this book. I really love the band of characters in this book and their sarcasm and their relationship and just everybody who lives and works in the Institute. But I have to say, with this one, it only ended up getting a 3.5 stars for me because the romance in the book kind of overtook the rest of the story. And Tessa's I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I couldn't, it wasn't good for me. I'm not really a huge romance person. I can appreciate romance in a book as long as it's done well, but this romance, especially in the second book, it just overtook the rest of the story and it kind of ruined it for me a little bit. So I will be continuing on with the series. I did like how things unfolded. It was just too much romance and too much dramatic romance. I don't like dramatic romance, but you know that by now. Next up was another book that I started in the month of September and finished up in October, and that was An Echo in the Bone by Gabaldon. This is the one that I did as audiobook this month. I like this book. This is, by the way, the 7th book in the Outlander series. I enjoyed this book, but I have a few issues with it. The plot was pretty good. I did enjoy all the things that happened in the book. It was fast-paced, but there were some new perspectives, and I think I mentioned this in my last wrap-up video. There were some new perspectives in this book that I didn't really follow. I didn't understand. And so it kind of left some gaps of the story for me. Like I said, I expected in my last wrap-up, these stories did kind of intertwine, and so they all met each other in one way or another, and their stories kind of made sense in comparison to other characters. So it kind of fixed itself, but not enough. But I did very much enjoy this one. It was still pretty good. I especially loved how the book ended, and I'm really excited into reading the next one, which is Written in My Own Heart's Blood. The only thing is, this one I don't have available to me on audiobook in English, so I would actually have to read the book, and I don't know if I can read a whole book of this without having at least intermittent audio sections, because it will take me forever and I won't get anything else read. But it might be a book that I read a chapter here and a chapter there. We'll see. Next up was a book that I read because my daughter has been asking if she can read this particular series, so I wanted to read it beforehand to know whether it was appropriate for her or not, and that's Dolfje Weerwolfje by Paul van Loon. This is a book, it's a Dutch book about a little boy named Dolfje, and when he turns 7 years old, he finds out he's a werewolf. And this is the first book in the series, and so it kind of goes through his discovery of himself being a werewolf and some potential problems that may lead to. I did enjoy this one. It gave it, I think, a 3 stars. It has a bad word in it, though, and which is not necessarily a bad word in Dutch, although kids are not allowed to say it, but it's not a swear word like it is in English. And so I kind of debated whether or not I wanted my daughter to read it. I eventually did let her because she's been begging, and it wasn't a bad story. I didn't find anything inappropriate for her except for that one word. I didn't think it would be nightmare worthy, and it wasn't about ghosts and all those kind of things that I just don't want her to read about yet. So I let her read this one. She loved it, so it was a good choice, and she knew there was a bad word in it and she's not allowed to say it, so I don't know. But anyway, I read the next book in the series, and that was Dolfje Weerwolfje Silvertand. And this one I enjoyed. I gave it a 4 stars. I thought it was a cute little adventure story, but I did not let my daughter read this book because it was about vampires and giant birds that eat people, and just, I thought it was a cute adventure story, but I don't want my kids to read about vampires yet. You know, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing for kids to read about, but for my family, it's just the decision that I made as a mom. As moms, we have to make decisions for our kids. And I decided that I don't want my kids to read about vampires and witches and ghosts. Not until they're old enough to be able to discern bad things from good things. So this one she wasn't allowed to read. She was very disappointed. This wasn't the second book in the series because it had mentioned some other things in previous books that again I think, nah, I don't think I want my kid to read it. So she got to read the first book. She got lucky. She won't be allowed to read the rest of the series. The next two books that I read were audiobooks. The first one being A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius by Dave Eggers. I don't really know how I feel about this book. It's supposedly a nonfiction work about Dave and how he was dealing with raising his younger brother after both his parents died of cancer. I think my issue with this book is that I couldn't relate to it. I'm not a 20-something-year-old. I didn't lose both of my parents to illness. I didn't have to raise my younger siblings. So I wasn't going through any of those kinds of things. But the other thing was, it was just ridiculous and unbelievable, and the pacing was a little off sometimes. So I gave this a 2 stars. I can see how some people might appreciate it, but it was just a little too weird. The reason that I picked this up was because I read the introduction of the book and it made me laugh out loud. So I thought it would be kind of a quirky book. It was quirky, but it was like over the top quirky. Like I just, that kind of humor I just can't handle. The next book I read again on audio, and that was Remember Me by Sophie Kinsella. This follows a girl named Lexi, and Lexi is kind of down on her luck. She's having problems in the boyfriend department and in the job department, and one night when she's out with her friends, she slips and falls and hits her head, and she wakes up in a hospital 3 years later. Not only does she wake up in the hospital 3 years later, but she realizes that she's gone from Lexi, the average girl, to Lexi, the corporate hotshot, who's married to a multimillionaire and has the perfect dream life, and she doesn't know how she got there. This was supposed to be like a mystery book, and I didn't find it very mysterious. It did take us a while to figure out what happened exactly in those 3 years, and when we did figure it out, I was just like, oh, that's it? That's not very interesting. I was expecting like deep dark secrets, and there were secrets. They just weren't as deep and dark as I thought they were. So I liked it. 3 stars, not a bad book. Not a great book. And next up we have Nevernight by J. Kristoff. This one was an interesting one for me to rate. Let's start off by talking about what it's actually about. It follows a girl named Mia, and Mia has had a rough life, and she ends up looking for a school for assassins, and she ends up going to the school for assassins, and I won't want to tell you anything more than that because I don't want to ruin it for you. This book, when I first started this book, I thought this was going to be like my new favorite book of all time. And it was really great. But the reason that I thought so was because it was really dark, but it was also very sarcastic. And I need to have a mixture of like the dark and the funny, or the dark and the sarcastic, to kind of balance out just the dark. Because I'm not a person that handles dark books very well. They just kind of bring me down. I like them, but they have to be mixed in with a little bit of lightheartedness. And this humor, J. Kristoff's humor, especially in the beginning of the book, was right up my alley. It's just that dark, sarcastic, dry humor. I loved it. Perfect. But as the story went on, we lost a little bit of that sarcasm. It was still there a little bit, but not as heavy as in the beginning of the book. So I found myself just reading about dark things. And this whole premise of this school for assassins is very dark. It's about a religion where you have to kill people and sacrifice them to this god of darkness. And it's more complicated than that, but it's a dark topic. It kind of goes against my nature to read this kind of thing anyway. There were a couple points in this book that I thought, if she does this, I can't read this book anymore. I have to put it down. It's too much. It went too far. It's too dark. It's too evil. I can't do it. But I ended up being able to do it anyway. And I will tell you, the end of this book, I was mortified. My heart was ripped out and stomped on into 1,000 little pieces, because you're just reading along and expecting things are not going very well, but you think that you can predict the end of the story, and nope. Within 3 lines, seriously, a paragraph. There was one thing that happened in the book that was just a paragraph long. That's it. Done. Gone. What happened? Somebody tell me, and why, because this was not cool. This was not cool, J. Kristoff. You need to slow down a little bit with the heart killing. I am very excited to read God's Grave. I have to wait a little while because it is dark, Hopefully the sarcasm will pick up a little bit. One thing that I will say is a lot of people said that they didn't like the footnotes. I did like the footnotes for a couple of reasons. First of all, because it was like a very well done research book, and I'm one of those nerds that likes research books. I like background information. I enjoy the footnotes. I always read the footnotes. But another thing is a lot of the sarcasm that comes from this book is in the footnotes. And a lot of the quirky remarks are in the footnotes. So if you read the footnotes, it won't be as dark. At least for me, anyway. I didn't mind them. I can see how people don't like them. I like them. I didn't feel like they broke up the story for me. I felt like they added to them. But that's all I have to say on this book because I've been talking about it for too long. I forgot to mention I was doing this bookathon, readathon, that was in the last week of October. I started out really strong. For that one, I read The Duel for the second book, Silver Tongues, and I read Nevernight, and I read this book almost that I'm halfway through. But like I said, I got really sick last week, so I didn't finish. I haven't read anything in the last 4 or 5 days. I haven't had any brain space. I've been watching Netflix, and I don't watch Netflix. I'm the kind of person that just doesn't have time for TV. I'd rather read a book. But when you're sick, you just want some brain cell killing nonsense. So I've just been watching the most stupid shows. But anyway, so I didn't finish Bookathon for anybody who was wondering. But I did start Stalking Jack the Ripper. And I'm a little more than halfway through. I am enjoying this. It's not what I thought it would be. And I'm not going to tell you what I did think it would be and what it is because I haven't finished the book and I don't want to spoil anything. One thing that I am really enjoying is the setting. It's 1888 London, and I love to read about how people acted, what was proper in the time, what was not proper. One of the characters is really not proper for the time, and he kind of kills me. I love him. But I am gonna finish this book hopefully soon. I am getting into the mood for reading again, so I expect tomorrow, because today I'm gonna be dead from all the filming. Tomorrow I'll be able to finish this up. It reads really fast, so I think I should be able to finish up in the next couple of days. Those are all the books that I read in the month of October. Despite the fact that I've been really sick the last week, I have done a lot of reading. A lot of it comes from the audiobooks. The audiobooks that I've been listening to the last couple months are like 50 hours long because I've been doing the Outlander books and the Harry Potter books. And the audiobooks that I've been doing now are like 10 hours long or 8 hours long, and I listen to them almost double speed. So I've been just flying through audiobooks and it's been kind of saving my butt. But anyway, I'm gonna go get a cup of tea and get ready to film my next video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't yet, I'd love for you to subscribe. I promise I'm not usually this scatterbrained. I'm just not feeling well. Thanks for watching, guys, and see you next time. Bye.